นะโมตัสสะภะThe Vinaya is deep and lovely. We know.
Most respected Thai, dear sisters, this morning we are the 29th of October in the year 2019, and we are in the class studying the Bhikshuni precepts in the autumn rains retreat. And first of all, I would like to go back to some of the precepts that we looked at last time. And first of all, number 5 of the release and expression of regret offenses, about having a private email account. So I think that when we revise I don't know what the state of the world will be in, but when we revise the Bhikshuni and the Bhikshu Pratimoksha, we should look at Facebook also. I don't know what the situation about Facebook is in Plum Village. I presume that if you have Facebook, you also have to have permission from the Bhikshuni Council and the Dhamma Teacher Council to have Facebook. In some sanghas, I heard that some sisters say it's their only way of being in touch with their family. And so they have Facebook for that reason. Anyway, I can't say much because I don't really know what guidelines you've been given by your hamlet as far as Facebook is concerned. So I hope that next week that we will have a Dhamma sharing and that at this time, and that we will be able to look a little bit into Facebook. One monk in Thailand, one monk in the traditional Thailand, in Mahachulalongkorn, he shared in a Dhamma sharing that he only want to use Facebook in order to be able to express compassion. And so that is a real practice. Because Facebook can really be a waste of time. It can waste an enormous amount of time. And I know that some people recognize, some people who had Facebook, they recognized how much time they were wasting. And that was the reason why they stopped using Facebook. because our time is very precious. Whenever we recite the novice precept, we're always reminded that life goes by very quickly. And it's true. 30 years go by very quickly. And 40, 50 years also. And so we have to be aware of that and not waste our time. Because the precepts are very deep and wonderful, and the sutra is very deep and wonderful, and it's very extensive. So we should give our time to learning about the precept and the sutra more than to doing things like going onto Facebook or reading novels. Of course we need a little bit of relaxation sometimes. But to me, the best way to relax is to sit still and do nothing, or go for a walk and just look at the beauties of nature. And by doing that, is already enough to relax and release. And when we are a young bhikshuni, we don't need to study anything other than the sutra and the precepts. The shastra maybe a little bit. The shastra is lun, yeah. Maybe we need to study a little bit, but not too much. And as for studying other things like history, and like it says in one of our precepts, it tells us that we can study psychology and history and world civilization. I think you can leave that until you're a Dharma teacher. Because there's a lot we can learn from Thay's Dharma talks about things that are not connected exactly to the sutra, and that's enough for us. So now I got a bit off the point. I was talking about wasting time. So now I would like to look at something else that somebody, I think number 8, about guaranteeing security. And we all practice every day. I am of the nature to grow old. No way I can escape. I am of the nature to have ill health. I am of the nature to die. So we know that that life is not secure. There is a touching the earth practice that I enjoy very much in the book. What's it called? Samphap Địa Súc. In English, I can't remember what it's called. In the Touching the Earth book. So it's about living in the house of the Tathagata. I want to live my daily life in the house of the Tathagata, eat the food of the Tathagata, wear the clothes of the Tathagata. And in that touching the earth, you say, I know that living in the house of the Tathagata, I don't have to worry that I won't have enough to eat, that I won't have medicine, that I won't have enough to wear, as long as I practice the precepts. So I think it's important for us to practice that touching the earth often, because we have in us a deep seed of insecurity, of being afraid what's going to happen in the future if I get very sick, or when I'm old, will there be anyone to look after me, and so on. And we can also waste our time by worrying about the future. And maybe it'll be a reason for us wanting to make sure we always have some money saved up. But when we enter the Sangha become our security, and we need to let go of all our fear like that. And whenever Thai teaches Kiel, Thai also reminds us that when we have our bowl, we're given our bowl, we don't have to be afraid of being hungry, because there was a time when Tui Kiel was afraid of being hungry, and therefore she had to take something that wasn't hers. And so Thai reminds us like that. And we should continue to remind ourselves of that, and to really invest in the present moment rather than investing in the future, and to know that if we devote ourselves to the practice in the present moment, that is our greatest security. And just from the material point of view, Thai was very aware that we need to have some material resources for the monastic Sangha. And therefore Thai always encouraged the lay people to set up different funds so that there would be enough financial resources to take care of the health of the Sangha. And we know that we have the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation, we have John Husband with his trust also. So Thai was aware of that. And as a Sangha, of course, we have to continue to encourage the lay people to donate, leave legacy for the monastic Sangha. But our part is generally not to fear, but our part is to do our practice so that we are worthy of receiving those offerings. So I'm very grateful. If we look at number 16 again. This is about storing money or jewelry or precious objects for someone else, probably lay people. And so I'm very grateful for Sister Dwayne Yim, who last week made a suggestion for us, and I think it's very clear, and I would like to make it clear now that we should not keep precious things for the lay people, because we never know what might happen, and then we never know how they will react when they lose their precious things. So that reminded me last time that when we're in doubt about whether we should do something or not, follow the precept. I also think that it would be important for us to have a commentary for the Pratimoksha, and whether we can work on this as a Sangha body. From our experience in the traditional Pratimoksha, we always have the cause why the precept was made. But we know that in the traditional Pratimoksha, those stories are not true, because each school, out of the 18 schools or 20 schools of Buddhism, they all had their own Pratimoksha. And each of the stories is different. Like the Buddha one Pratimoksha will say the Buddha was staying in Sravasti. Another will say the Buddha was staying in the same precept, he was staying with the Kuru people or something. So we know that those stories are not true. They were made up afterwards in order to try and give a context for the precept. But we have our experience of what has happened either before or after the precepts were made, the revised precept, and we can put that real experience into the commentary. So for instance, if we had a commentary on this, we can say clearly there was a time when the sisters in the New Hamlet, I don't know quite how it happened, they left their computer and we can put that clearly, and that will help people. We don't have to say the sisters in the New Hamlet. We can just say it happened that a lay person so and so, and then we can, yeah. So this will be very helpful for our study of the precepts, and it will be a collective work. Number 16. What number is this? About wearing gold and silver. Okay, this is number 13. So this is about trúng gió, huh? So I think when we've become a nun, we can get ourselves neck warmer, scarf, and that is enough to help us not to catch the wind. I don't think silver necklaces are necessary. If you're in a strong wind and you have your silver necklace but you don't have a scarf on, I think you might get the wind anyway. But anyway. So, and also I have seen sometimes when sisters who wear the silver necklace, when you're working or you bend down, then it falls down and people can see it, and I don't think it looks so good to see a nun wearing a silver necklace. So that is my idea, but it's up to you to look deeply in order to see what you want to do. Mm-hmm. So finally, somebody said something about the brothers having a karaoke, which I didn't say anything about, karaoke or whatever. I think that is the business of the brothers. The Bhikshu Council, what they do, I don't think it's the business of the sisters. When as an elder sister, I share about matters of fine manners or precept with the brothers, is because it involves the Bhikshuni Sangha. So that is why when something I feel has an effect on the Bhikshuni Sangha, then I bring it. But something the brothers, they decide and they do, and I don't really think I want to talk to the brothers about that. So that's my own experience. So now we can continue from where we ended last time, which is about how many robes we can have. I think all of these things are very useful to have precept sharing about all these precepts in the expression of regret and release. So we can learn from each other. This is number 19. So here, a bhikshuni who has more than 3 formal robes, 3 long robes, including the aotang and the aonyukben, more than 5 sets of suits, that hall. And then it says, not counting work clothes, warm underwear, coats for those living in cold places. So all these things that are mentioned in the brackets, like warm work clothes, warm underwear, coats, it doesn't mean to say you can have as many as you like. When you say coats, I don't know how many coats you have, but I think one coat is probably enough. So from time to time, when you need to look at what you've got in your wardrobe, and if you see that there are things there that you haven't worn for a couple of weeks, then you may know that there are things you don't need. If for some reason you have to have a new Sangati, then you have to release your old Sangati. You need to have enough robes so that when you go to a public event or you go to a day of mindfulness, you can be dressed properly. And we talk about that a little bit later. So don't have so few robes that you have to wear old things when you go to lead a retreat or when you go to a mindfulness day. Number 20. A bhikshuni who wears monastic robes made of translucent, shiny, silky, or colorful material. Any kind of material sewn with golden thread or glittering beads. I don't think any of us have golden thread and glittering beads, but sometimes the material a little bit shiny, a little bit silky, so we have to remember that. Colorful material, I don't know. We can look at that a bit later maybe with another. The colorful material would be more for your coat or your coat or your jacket or whatever. I know that Thai didn't want us to wear robes that are made in the style of Chinese robes, and he always reminded about that. But there's always a tendency for people from time to time to wear the Chinese style, which has this part here is sewn many times with many rows of sewing, or with a sash at one side and things like that. So we're representing Thai, we're representing Plum Village, so we want to wear the robes that we are given by Plum Village. "21. A bhikshuni who makes monastic robes according to a fashionable design, in imitation of robes worn by wealthy and powerful people." So this is a little bit the same as I would say about number 20. But when we buy coats, we also sometimes we look on the internet and we see a coat and we think, oh yes, that look very smart and fashionable, and so we buy it. But it could be not look very monastic. And nowadays, we all have the right to buy our own coat. Is that right? So that means that we have a lot of different coats. And I remember when we went to Taiwan the first time in 1995, the abbot in whose temple we stayed was a little bit shocked because we all had a different coat. He said, I can't possibly have you go out and give teachings all wearing different coats. So he bought everybody the same coat. Actually, it was a cloak. And so we'd all look the same. I also remember when we used to go on tour with Thai. I remember days in Deer Park, before we went to Los Angeles or San Diego to lead a day of mindfulness, we would all have to stand outside the kitchen down there, or outside the nuns' dining room down there, with our hat, our scarf, our brown socks, our brown bat hole, our brown áo tràng or nhật bình. Yeah. And we would have an inspection. I don't know, Sister Dingim or somebody would come along and look at everybody. You have the right sock, you have the right shoe, you have your hat, you have your scarf. And we would be inspected like that before we got on the bus to go to the day of mindfulness. So that doesn't happen anymore. But still, I think we have to be neat and tidy as a Sangha body. Thai Pháp Hữu said that before Thai gave a Dharma talk, Thai was very insistent that Thai Pháp Hữu, or whoever the attendant was, would make sure that Thai looked, what should I say? What's the right word for a monk? Smart and tidy. Because the way when we're up on the stage, we look, even though it's out of form, but it reflects our mindfulness. And if everybody comes up wearing a different coat, a different color, then we don't look tidy as a Sangha. So Thai had to look tidy as Thai. And we who representing Thai also have to look tidy as a Sangha body and look like a Sangha body. So that is why we had all the business of having to be checked before we got on the bus and went to the day of mindfulness. So we have our monastic robes, and we should wear them properly and wear them as the Sangha instructs us. And then we will be a symbol of mindfulness for the people who see us. Number 22. A bhikshuni who buys personal luxurious items. Luxurious means things that are not really necessary and things which are use money, a lot of money, things which are very expensive. Of course, we don't want to buy cheap things that quickly deteriorate. But on the other hand, we don't want to buy things that are too expensive, so we have to find the middle way. Sometimes somebody else wants to buy something for you, And you think that is a luxury. And so you have to say to them, don't buy that for me. The money we want to use is money that has been donated by people who've had to work hard. And so we be careful not to buy things we don't need. Number 23. A bhikshuni who keeps and wears expensive, fashionable slippers or shoes, high heels, in order to look attractive. So with all of our shoes, also like that. Shoes are also like our coat. We buy a coat, and sometimes I see a coat someone's buy, it's a bit shiny. It's, what do you say? Tapered, huh? Ale, huh? What do you call it? What do you say? Tapered, yeah. I think that you need a coat that is loose, not tapered. Huh? And sometimes shoes with the colors. I'm not sure about the slippers. Obviously, you don't buy slippers to be fashionable, you buy them to be warm. And the slipper that you wear in your own bedroom with the different animal faces on them. I suppose that's your business. You wear them in your own room. It's not so serious. Number 24. A bhikshuni who uses fashionable or colorful umbrellas, handbags, gloves, socks. So now I think I want to say something about this hat. It's called tie bell. What is called in English? What is that hat called in English? Anyway, they can be all kinds of colors. One color on the outside, one color on the inside. They can have flowers on them. I mean, not real flower design I've also seen in the Sangha. So I don't know who decides. Anyway, most people, they have one of these hats. I have one of those hats. Yeah. So I wear in Thailand when we have exercise time. And you can also wear, I think, when you do working meditation. But when we are doing walking meditation, that is the time to bring your cone hat with you, because that is an official practice time. And the lay people, they come with us, and they also wear their what are we going to call it, their hat with flower design or different colors. And sometimes you only see the head, so you don't know who's a lay person and who's a sister. Yeah. So to look neat as a monastic sangha, we should wear the correct hat when we do the walking meditation. Other times you can wear your special Thai bell hat. You don't have to throw it away or release it. Number 25. Oh, what about sock, huh? Yeah. As I said that before we got on the bus, we had to make sure that we were wearing brown socks. Brown trousers, brown socks, yeah. So also for going to mindfulness day, when we have to stand up and up before the Sangha, it is good that our socks are brown or dark enough color to go with the rest of our uniform. I don't wear white socks, light grey socks, also not the right color. And the last thing, when you come up, please wear your scarf. Somebody once said to me, "Oh, I'm not going to chant the sutra because I'm not wearing my scarf." So when we come up and we chant the sutra, we are doing that for Thai. We're representing Thai. And we're also doing it to give our support to the person who has to give the Dharma talk. That reciting before the Dharma talk, to me, is very important. If I have to give the Dharma talk that day, I'm very often inspired by the chanting that happens before. It makes me less nervous. And I really appreciate the Sangha coming up and chanting. So you don't have to wear your scarf very long. The chant only lasts about 10 minutes. And then if you want, you go back, you can take it off. So it's not that much of a sacrifice to put on your scarf. And also, one thing you say, I won't come up and chant because I'm not want to wear my scarf. The other thing you say is, I have to stand in the back line because I'm not going to wear my scarf. So that also, it won't do, huh? You're very short and you stand in the back line because you haven't got your scarf on. And everybody else, they don't dare push you forward because they know you haven't got your scarf on. So please wear your scarf and stand in your proper place when you come up and chant the sutra. And that is for everyone's benefit. It may not be your benefit so much because it's a little bit of a sacrifice you have to make, but all the same, it will benefit the people who listen and benefit the person who gives the Dhamma talk. And you can think about Thai. One time I said to somebody, "Where's your scarf?" They said, "Oh, I just washed it, it's not dry." So I think that on the mindfulness day, in the early morning, you get up on Sunday and you wash your scarf, and it's the only scarf you have. It's a bit funny, huh? There's always a reason. Oh, I have a headache. Or it's too hot. But basically we don't like it, so we find a reason for not wearing it. When I was first ordained, we didn't have the scarf. So whenever I went shopping or I had to go out, I had to wear the scarf that make you look like a Catholic nun. This would come down like that. Like a veil. Because if not, even those days, earlier on, the shaved head was something they didn't like. People still remember the Nazi movement and things like that. And so I had to wear something. So I wore that scarf. And then I went to Vietnam. I went to the north of Vietnam. And I saw the nuns in the north wearing that scarf that we wear now. Oh, I felt very happy to have the scarf we have now rather than the one make me look like a Catholic nun. Because when I went to Duras shopping one day, one man came, they used to come, "Sister, please say a prayer for me," or "Sister, please may I carry your shopping for you?" And obviously I knew I was a nun, but they thought I was a Catholic nun. I didn't like to deceive people into thinking I was a Catholic nun. So I was very happy to have the scarf. Number 25. A bhikshuni who keeps and using perfume, cosmetics, that probably we don't do, or perfumed laundry soap. So this is something that sometimes I walk past a sister and I can smell the perfumed laundry soap. So it's not very different from wearing perfume, because if you put the perfume on your skin, people will smell it. If you put the perfume on your clothes, people will also smell it. And then they may associate you with the smell. And the nose is a deep, deep ocean. Quấy là đại hiện sao á. Number 26, a bhikshuni who stores a significant amount. Cái đó là tiếng Việt nữa hả? New, huh? The word is new. In English they put significant. In Vietnamese it's a large amount. I suppose significant could mean large. Shampoo, laundry soap, toothpaste. How many toothbrushes do you have stored up? I had a lot one time. I have to let go. I think one extra toothbrush is enough. Huh? Toothpaste also, one extra is enough. I think number 27 about in the hospital having a private room. Yeah, I don't know how we got the word expensive. If you have a private room, it's expensive anyway. So I think we can in English we can get rid of the word expensive. It's not there in Vietnamese. A private room with unnecessary luxuries. Have a private room in a hospital is very expensive. So I'm not quite sure about the private bit, because the two times when I spent the night in the hospital, I've spent it in a room on my own, but other sisters, they stay with me. So the lay people who they paid for me to stay in a private room. If you're in Vietnam or Thailand, sometimes the non-private room is it's a little bit difficult to stay in. So I know some in Thailand, some sisters and brothers who stay in the hospital, they stay in the large ward with everybody, and some they ask if they can stay in a private room because it's too difficult. The conditions are too difficult for them in the large ward. So very crowded, people, sometimes not enough bed for everyone to have a bed, so it's two people on one bed, and the people who are in pain and crying out. Yeah. So sometime I think the Sangha can decide that to allow someone to stay in a private room. Obviously you don't want to have any unnecessary luxuries in that room. 28, a bhikshuni who lies on a luxurious bed. A luxurious bed means a bed that is very high and very wide. And whenever we went to China, the Chinese government the Chinese government wanted to show us their best hotel in the town we are staying in. So they, just for one night, they put us in the best hotel they had in the town we were staying in. And then Thai would always pull the bedding off the bed and sleep on the floor, because the bed is very high, very luxurious. We just had one night like that, and then we went back to staying in all the in the non-luxurious hotel. Yeah, and it's very interesting to see how you feel when you see the luxurious bed, and then the next night you have to sleep on the floor or something. Yeah. See which you prefer. A bhikshuni decorates her room in a luxurious way. I have been into a bhikshuni's room in the north of Vietnam one time, and television in the bedroom, and luxurious bed with pink cover on top. Because sometimes the lay people, they give a lot of donation and we don't know what to do with them, so we buy ourselves television and things like that. A bhikshuni who stores a significant amount of food or drink in her personal storage space and does not bring it out to share with the Sangha. It's about eating. I don't know about eating on your own or eating snack. Or Number 31, a bhikshuni who wears tattered robes. So that the donor will think that she is very poor and needs donation. But in fact, she doesn't need new robes. Number 32, a bhikshuni who goes to lay people, whether they are related to her or not. So the difference between number 32 in the revised Pratimoksha and number 32 in the, well, not number 32, but in the classical Pratimoksha, is that we have the right in the classical Pratimoksha to ask our relatives for things, but we can't ask other lay people. But here it says that we should not ask our relatives either. collects material objects and funds for her personal use. So this is about asking lay people for things, or encouraging lay people to donate things or donate money to you. So to cultivate a special relationship with a donor, because we want that person to give us money, or we're expecting that person to donate to us. That is also not going in the direction of the precept. A bhikshuni who uses an offering from a layperson not in accordance with the layperson's wishes, and without informing the layperson, so that the layperson suffers or is unhappy and upset, commits an offense which involves release and expression of regret. And we know that the lay people, they look at us and they judge us, and we have to be very correct in our practice of the precepts, so that the lay people don't lose faith and they don't look down on the bhikshuni sangha. So lay people, especially those who are donors and who have financial resources, they are also very sensitive to whether the monastic sangha is making use of them. So we have to be very careful not to ask for things. Unless the layperson offers, do you need something? Does the sangha need something? Please let me know, and then we have the right to let that person know. Sometimes we say something and it encourages layperson to make a donation to us. Well, we don't want the person to make a donation, but we say it. So I've learnt this. So for instance, somebody donates to you a pair of socks, warm socks, and then you come later to that person and you say, oh, last time I saw you, you gave me a pair of warm socks. They've been very useful, thank you very much. And then that person thinks they have to give you another pair of warm socks. So now I have to be careful not to do that. When they give you the donation, you thank them and you say that you will offer up the merit, but then don't mention it again. In the West, we have a furniture. We have chairs and tables, which are only meant to be used inside. Because if the rain gets on them and the sunshine gets on them, then they deteriorate very quickly. I'm talking about number 33, not using things in accordance with the layperson's wishes. And so we had a lay friend, and her husband was also in the OI Sangha, Dhamma teacher, and he died, and she wanted to give to the monastery the furniture. And it's quite good furniture. But people thought, oh, we can just take it out in the garden. And we would sit on a chair in the garden We didn't have enough chairs in the garden. But it was meant to be for inside. It's made of have a satin cushion and things like that, and varnish. And so when the rain fell on and the sun fell on, then it destroyed the furniture. And then the layperson came back and saw what had happened to her husband's chairs, and she was very upset. So this is the kind of thing we have to be careful, because you may grow up in a country where you don't have fancy furniture, which you have to keep inside, but in the country you're practicing in, they do have that kind of thing. Number 34. A bhikshuni who sews, cooks, or manufactures things to sell in order to make money to send home to her family, except when her parents are in ill health and have no other means of financial support. So you can see the compassion of Thai and the ancestral teachers in this training when we see that the bhikshuni has no way to help her parents other than by sewing, cooking, or manufacturing things to sell. Then that is allowed. Otherwise, we want to have time to be able to devote ourselves to our practice and our studies. So to be able to sew and cook for our own sisters and our own lay friends staying with us, that is enough work for us already. The rest of the time we need to devote to our practice. So dear sisters, that is quite enough for today. I would like to ask for your questions if you have any, or your feedback or your suggestions.
Disciple,
Yeah.
I have a question related to the precept number 25. It's about perfumed laundry soap. But then in my case that since the summer I start to use the essential oil like a lavender or rose, because somebody told me that if we use that, then it won't come to my body or to my tan, or it can prevent myself from being bitten by tick. But one time when I still have some, and I use it in my study room. And at one time, one of my sisters we share, and then she said, "Oh, maybe if we use that essential oil, maybe it's not correct to the precept, because here we say that we shouldn't use it And my intention is not like to be attracted by a smell, but then because of different purpose. And I don't know if we can still continue to use that. And I see, not only in my case, but I see many sisters around me also like to smell like lavender oil, or other like rose oil. Thank you so much.
Well, lavender keeps off the outer and the ticks. It does. Yeah, so many people they use that, and it's not individual matter because we use that. It's like you use citronelle also. You spray a bit on to keep the tick away. That is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why you use the rose oil, because the rose, it doesn't keep away the ticks. So don't use the rose, but use the lavender or the citronelle. Okay, last question.
Dear respected Thai, dear Sukha Chanduk, dear Sangh sisters, this is also about question number 25. And the question is, can we use the clothing softener? I don't know if I have the right word. It's a liquid that you put in the washing machine, and after the wash, then this liquid will make all of the clothing very soft. And I think in the past we decided, at least in New Hamlet, that only the housekeeping group would be able to use it for the lay people's sheets. But truthfully, I've seen it, it's being used a little bit beyond housekeeping. So it's usually purple or blue and a pink color, and it smells very nice. So, wow.
So if New Ham had already decided like that, then maybe the Yamniim, they just have to remind the Sangha and just give it to the housekeeping team, and they have to keep it in a special place. Thank you.